Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! So it's time for another mystery craft project. Unfortunately, as I was editing the video, I realized I didn't actually record me drawing the name of the mystery craft product. So you're gonna have to trust me on this. I pulled Idea-ology, so that's what we're crafting with today. And if you're new to my channel, what I have done is I've put the names of a variety of craft supplies in my stash on little pieces of paper in my cup. And each mystery craft day, we pull out a item from the cup and craft with it. And the list of all of the items that are in my cup are down below. If you want to play along with me, you can make your own list of craft supplies you want to play with and draw out of the cup and craft along with me. So let's get to the project. Okay, so I had to rummage around and pulled out some. Sadly, this is just some of the Idea-ology stuff I have, and I don't use it enough. I have a horrible habit of buying things intending to use it and never getting around to using it. So I've pulled out some of my Idea-ology stuff. I've got some fabric tape. I've got some of the Collage Papers, which is kind of like a tissue paper. Grab some people. And then some bits and bobs. I don't even remember which kits these are, like which sets these are from. So yeah. And then I buy the Chit Chats and then don't use them, like the board stickers. These I like, these are snarky. So, and what I've decided to do is I have been saving the packaging to turn into stuff. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play with my Idea-ology packaging and create some tags. This I think could be like an over the page kind of pocket, or potentially a flip, depending on how you attach it and what you do. So we'll have to figure that out as we go along. And then some little tags. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Let's start with this one. And I think I'm gonna add some of the collage paper to it. Let's pull this out. Just taking a look to see. Okay, so that's where the pattern repeats what I want. So, all right, so if you don't have collage paper, you could use napkins or tissue paper. You could stamp on tissue paper. There's all sorts of ways you could get a similar effect. And yeah, I'm probably on most of them going to cover up the Tim Holtz Idea-ology signature bit on it. But I'm thinking we're going to go like that. What I need is to grab some Liquitex matte medium and a palette to put it on. Make some room for myself so I can actually like function. All right, so off to the side, I'm just putting some of the matte medium on a plastic plate. I think you probably see some of the plate that I use as a palette. And I'm gonna grab a little silicone spreader and just apply some matte medium. I'm gonna try not to get too much on this mat, but I don't wanna move it because I know I'm on screen if I stay on the mat. And we'll trim off any excess after we've attached it. Good, about there. All right, I'm gonna trim this off because it's dealing with it on the roll is just getting in my way. Wipe that off. And I am going to put a coat on top because I find I just get a better adherence if I do top and do a layer on top as well. And I don't mind that I'm getting wrinkles and a little bit of bubbling. And we're gonna wait and see how it dries, because some of the spots where it's bubbling, I may need to go in and add some medium underneath, because there's none underneath it. We can, while it's still wet, lift up a little bit. All right, I'm gonna set this guy aside to dry. And I'm gonna clean off the mat as I go. Let's grab another one. Let's do this guy and some more of the paper. This time I'm gonna grab, oh, and in case you want to know, this was the collage paper document. I don't know what is and isn't still available. So this one is Typeset, and for this one I think we're gonna do a little more, like we're gonna take the collage paper and collage with the collage paper. So I think I'm going to take a ruler, because this is tissue paper, it will rip. About there-ish. Although not as easily as I thought it would. All right, and what I'm gonna do is put this piece down. That's a little slippery slidey. Put it down and pat instead of, and then do this. And I'm probably going to end up, after I'm done doing all this off screen, put coffee dyed paper on the back. All right, let's grab another piece. And I think I'm gonna use scissors this time just because it's a little easier. But then I'm gonna tear this piece off and put it down here. So we're gonna do layers on top of layers on this one, instead of applying it in a single strip across. And if you don't have Liquitex matte medium, you could do this with Mod Podge, watered down, like school glue, whatever kind of glue you've got for collaging with. You could probably even use glue stick, but you're going to want to apply it. Make sure you apply it to the piece, the base piece, not the papers, because you're likely to rip them. All right, I'm going to trim a little bit of this off that I've got overhanging. I'm not going where it's still wet, but I just need a little bit to cover up this spot here. And you'll notice that the paper is essentially disappearing into the background. And that's the nice thing about using like a collage paper, or you could do a tissue paper you stamped on, which is one of those projects on my to-do list, is to create some of my own collage paper. Just haven't found the time. There are not enough hours in the day for the craft projects in my head. That got smooshed up, but it does not matter since we're just creating a background at this point. And there is a spot missing over there. Let's snip that bit off and go over here with that. All right, now this one needs to get set aside to dry. And then I've got Entomology collage paper. So let's pull out a little one and do some of this on here. I'm gonna trim a piece off. And I am going to trim out some parts that I want to do in certain places on this. I'm thinking I want to do that going up the side. We're going this way because I cut it a little too narrow at the top to cover all of the side there. So let's do that. Yeah, I'm trying to maintain the little cutout at the top of these so we can add, you know, fibers or something through there to keep it, because it's a cool shape. And I don't have that style punch. I know there's a punch out there that does that shape, and it is one of the few craft products that I've seen that I want that I have not gotten yet. And then maybe do identification going down this way, but I'm gonna lay a piece of just scripty bit in the corner and then put identification down. And I will come in with like a craft knife and clean up the opening so that I can keep that shape after this is dry. And then let's add Mr. Big Bug, which I'm gonna save that bit. You can add a great big bug in the center. But let's trim off some of this. Now, if you didn't want the brown of the base showing through, you could do a coat of gesso over the top. So that you have white behind. But I'm okay with the brown showing through. We're gonna add more layers of stuff to this, so it's just all part of the layering process. I'm gonna set this guy aside to dry, and I'm gonna do pretty much the same thing to all the rest of the ones I pulled out, because I figure even if we don't end up doing all of them on camera, I will then have at least a few ready to go for me to play with in future. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish putting papers on all of these, and I'll be back. Okay, so everybody's all dry, and I trimmed up the excess off of these guys, but I wanted to show you, I ended up adding a little bit more at the top, and I've covered the little hanging opening thing. So I wanted to show you basically the trimming up process. I also had a couple thoughts about these two. So we're gonna do something a little different on those. And let me grab my scissors and pretty much I'm going to take it, bring in smaller scissors now since I just have a little bit of cleanup here. So there it is. That needs a little more trimming. Now, to cut that piece out, I have found it's a lot easier to just take a knife and go in and do it that way. So I'm going to put it on my craft mat. Do my best because, yeah, it's hard for me to see it at this distance. I have mentioned before, not the greatest of eyesight. Okay, that seems to be doing okay. Let's see if we can get around our curve. And do the same over here. There we go. And if there's any pieces that don't look quite right, you can go in and do a little cleanup. So there's that one. Now for this one, I decided instead of covering it completely with the collage papers, why not keep the cutout over here is not great. So oh, you know what I can do? So what I'm gonna do is grab some of the Idea-ology fabric tape, and instead of covering up all of the lovely distressed edges, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off a piece of fabric tape, and I'm gonna do a wrap over to cover that janky bit in the opening. So let's just see again where about we want to cut, guys. And if you're not familiar with the fabric tape, it's got backing on it. So I'm going to peel away the backing. And I'm going to attach it kind of in the middle on this one. And did I tell you I put a coating of the matte medium on these two because it'll give it a little bit more tooth because it's shiny packaging. So you may notice it's a little more matte, and it'll let me add like inks better on the parts I'm not covering up with the fabric tape. Now I'm gonna cut another piece. And then I'm gonna cut it in half. And we're gonna do this. And I believe I can fray. So we're gonna do one going this way. And I believe I can get the edges to fray a little bit if I don't turn it in under on itself. So I'm just kind of, there we go. Gonna pull out a few of the threads, get it a little more frayy on the edge. And then on this side, I'm gonna put it on this way. And now I think I'm gonna go the other way again. I was thinking I would flip it, but looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I don't think that'll make me happy. And before I stick it down this time, let's pull a few threads out to get a little bit of a frayed edge. And stick that right about there. And then I'll trim off the excess bits because those are too short to like wrap around at the bottom there. So we'll just trim that off. And so there's another little tag base. I don't know that we're gonna decorate all of these today, but I wanted to show you the idea. So that was one idea, one other idea for covering up the base. And wow, that is so not straight. It's kind of like, me, story of my life. And then the other one is I grabbed, this is from one of the Tim Holtz Idea-ology backdrop collections, and I cut it down height-wise, and I'm going to see how well this tears with the tearing ruler. I'm not sure it's going to do what I want, but we'll see, because I want it to have like a rougher edge. So we're going to see how well we can tear it. Oh, it's actually tearing fairly easily. So we've got a torn edge. So it's gonna go there. And then let's stick this down where we want it to tear going this way. Trying to see where I wanna go. Let's do it like this so I can figure out where we're going to. All right, we're gonna tear between here. Now when you're tearing paper that's printed like this, the side you pull up will have no white showing. The side you pull from will have the white showing. So we're gonna end up inking that, so it's not a big deal. In fact, let's go ahead and do that now. I'm gonna go Distress Oxide Victorian Velvet, because that's what I have out on my desk. And I'm thinking I may want to go on like so, just lightly, just to add a little bit of pink to the background. So yeah, it's definitely gonna stick better if you do a coating of like a matte medium than if you try and put it on over here, because that will just wipe off with your finger. So yeah, the matte medium gives it just enough tooth. So let's go ahead and stick this piece on here. I'm gonna grab my art glitter glue. You can use whatever your preferred glue is. Now for my lining up, I'm gonna pay attention to lining it up along the top, because I can always easily trim off if it ends up being a little bit too long on the bottom, which I think it may be. Probably should have used Barely Art so I could do a better job centering it, but nope, it's perfect. All right, so that's another idea. So that way you can keep like the grungy edged image of the packaging, but cover up the logoing information if you don't want to keep that. All right, so let's get to some decorating. And I think we're gonna start with this one. And I have done some prep work for this so that it won't take forever. What I wanna do first is I want to ink my edges, and I'm gonna do Scorched Timber. And I think I may go over here like that. And I think what I'm also gonna do is grab my Uncharted Mariner and a brush and add a little bit of color to my background, because I love color. I can't help myself. Just kind of randomly adding a little bit here and there. And then I'm gonna grab another brush and add a little scorched timber, but I think I'm going to do the scorched timber in Distress Oxide because it's a little bit lighter. So we're going to do a little bit of that. Grab a brush, come in and add a little scorched timber Distress Oxide in some spots. All right, I think that's good. And so this is one of the gears left that I made during, I think it was the faux gear technique tutorial I did back in like January, and it's been sitting in my stash since, like sitting out on my desk since then. And I think I used part of the gear obviously in some project, or this might have been an off. So I figured I'd just pull it out and use it, because otherwise it will live in my stash forever. And since my whole goal for 2024 is to use my stash, I figured, go ahead, use this sucker. And some of my glue dried, so let's just get that on. And this guy's also been sitting on my desk for a little while because I had pulled him out when I was doing the Holtz People video. I grabbed some digitals, and this is also an Idea-ology item, and I think it's a sticker. Let's double check. It is. Okay. I'm going to start with this one, because this is what we're going to put our gentleman standing on, and this is an My Porch Prints. That one is Love Junk Journal, and I need to add a little bit more. My spokes of my gear are popping up, so let's make sure they're glued down well. Give him something to stand on. Because, yeah, if you come across projects with Holtz People and it seems a little off, if they're not standing on something, or if they're a sitting character and they're not sitting on something, that's going to make it look weird. So that's something to keep in mind if you're using Holtz People. So let's glue this guy on. This is going to go here, and this is going to go down here, but I feel like it needs something else. So I will deal with dogs and be right back. All right, so I'm back. I had a bit of a think. I pulled some stuff out. I also pulled out some stuff for the other ones that we're going to be doing, and let's go ahead. And this is a printable by Shabby Debbie Doodah, and I'm going to ink the edges on it. And I'm not inking over here because that's just going to get cut off, because it's going to go here. And I did take a dinner break, and as a result, I now have crazy crack puppies, because for some reason after dinner, my dog always gets this burst of energy and becomes crazy crack puppy. So you may hear toy squeaking in the background. So that's going to go there. I'll cut it off once we attach everything. I think I inked these edges. This one's going to go here. And then that will go like so. And I've got a dog right behind me. What are you doing? It's going to go like so with that tucked underneath. So let's go ahead and attach this number on. And this has got is a sticker, I believe. So if it was a sticker, the backing's not coming off. So we're just going to flatten that out and just apply glue. I'm gonna trim this piece off and ink the edges, and please ignore puppy deathmatch in the background. My dogs tend to get very vocal when playing together. All right, so that one's done. Now for the back, what I'm gonna do is take just a piece of coffee dyed paper and apply it to the back like so. Probably, you know what, let's just go ahead and do it. Press it down and then just trim the extra away. So much easier than measuring with something like this. And there we go. That guy's done. I want to put something at the top, but I don't know what that something's going to be just yet. I got to think about it because, you know, this is kind of grungy and a little bit masculine, so I don't necessarily want to put something fluffy in there, and I don't know that I've got anything good that would work. So I'm going to have a rummage around and figure out if I've got something for up there. Next, let's pull this one over. I did pull out some printables for this one, and again, I am going to do my standard technique for these pieces. I'm going to grab a piece of paper. All right, we're just going to grab this piece of paper. I'm going to set it down. I'm going to grab a brush and my antique linen distress ink, and I'm just going to go over the whole piece to knock back the white edges. I find doing this is a bit easier than trying to ink those white edges on something delicate like this. Is just kind of go over the whole piece like that. Bring our pieces over, and this is, I believe, from My Porch Prints. This is the Junk Journal Studio, and this is Abrotique. I will leave links to everything down below, as always. This I want to adjust the color on a little bit, so I'm going to pull over my Victorian Velvet. I'm going to grab a brush, and I'm going to pink it up. There we go. It's got a little bit more pink to it now. And I will use Vintage Photo to ink the edges on it. All right, so we're gonna stick our ticket on, I think, right about there. Is that low enough? Yes. All right, we'll stick our ticket on. I'm trying to decide, because I don't know that I want to cover up the grungy edge there. Just trying to figure out the placement. All right, let's see if we can kind of go like this. Place it how we like it on here. Then see if we can get it placed on here. I just want to stay below that little line. So I think that's just about gonna work. We're just gonna be on the tag. I think we're gonna have to cover up that grungy edge because otherwise our spool goes off the edge. Okay, so there we go. And I think that one's done. And let's see. Oh, look at that. The offcut just fits. I am going to grab my guillotine and just straighten that edge. Just gonna slip it under. Cover off a little bit just to get it straight, and apply this to the back. And this one I'm gonna put the glue on the piece of paper since it's a little bit smaller than our tag. There we go. And any extra excess showing over the edge we can just trim off. And then I want to add, got some seam binding dyed with Victorian Velvet. So I'm just gonna add a little seam binding to the top of this one. Let's go about there. Cut a piece off. Go through. And there we go. That one's done. Alrighty, let's see who else. I've pulled out some stuff for like 2 more, so we're gonna do that, and then I think we'll call it quits for today, and I'll finish decorating the rest later. So I pulled out another Tim Holtz person. This is, I believe, a printable by Digital Attic Studio, and for her, I'm gonna put her on a piece of the Tim Holtz, the fabric tape. And I think we're gonna selectively cut this because I think we'll use this piece. Because again, she needs grounding, and I don't want to use this section. So we'll trim that off, set that aside, and go ahead and place this because I know where this is going. So that's going here, and that gives her some grounding. So that's something for her to stand on. And her hand's resting on something, and I'm figuring I was gonna use this like label that's part of the background, but I don't, it's just not working for me. So I think I need to pull something out for that. And I think that's gonna work. And her standing right about so. That works. It stands out more. And that's a printable by Shabby Debbie Doodah, if I didn't just say that. I can't remember. I feel like I also need to add, that goes there. Have something coming out that way, and then I'm going to use this over here, and we are so going to ink this up so that it's not so very bright. I'm going to scoot her over a little bit, and I think I like that. So let's grab our piece of paper back over, grab our antique linen, ink the bejesus out of this because this needs a lot of dulling. And let's ink the edges on these, and I'm just going to use some tea dye just in case I didn't cut things out properly, and it just takes away that white edge. And I think I'm gonna turn it this way so that my more straight edge is sticking out. All right, again, let's check our placement. She's going here, like so. Hand resting on this label, which was, yeah, okay. Check and see how we're doing color-wise on that one. I think it needs some tea dye. Let's do our placement again. She goes all the way over here, like so. This goes in here, like so. All right, let's attach that and that. And I think what I'm gonna do is put the glue here, bring her back over and get her placed right. And glue this down, and then I'm gonna stop and let a dog out because he's turning into Antsy Pantsy Puppy. Get her at the right height. That. Okay, so looking at it, I feel like it needs the color like brought down here. So same set as this one, only printed out smaller and not trimmed up yet. So I'm gonna ink it with antique linen and tea dye, and I'm just going with what's on the brush. And I think instead of curving, we're gonna clip it like that, ink our edges, and I'm gonna attach it down here. Let's go ahead and just cut it off at this line and glue it on. That works. And I know it's empty up here, but I have got a plan for there. And let's go ahead and back it so that I can execute said plan. Glue smooshed out and over here, which was what I was trying to do to make sure I had it all the way down to the corners. I don't think I've inked the edges on this one yet, which is fine because we can do that next. All right, let's go ahead and ink our edges, and I am gonna use Vintage Photo, which is hiding on my desk somewhere. The space I have to craft in is getting smaller and smaller as the day goes on. All right, let's just ink these edges up. Now for this corner, I want to add an eyelet. Okay, I went and grabbed a few things because what I want to do is put an eyelet in there, and I grabbed a bulb pin and a rose charm. Now the color of the rose charm is not the color that I want, but let's go ahead and put our eyelet in first. And I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers Crocodile, and I'm using the 3/16 hole, and I'm gonna go about there. Now I wasn't sure if it was gonna go over to the coffee dye paper, but I figured it was better to add the paper and then not have to worry about it. This matches the bulb pin I grabbed, and the little backer. And if your eyelet is too big for your hole, you can just go back in and just offset punch. So go back into the same spot and just shift it over a little bit. You can also stick a pencil in and kind of wiggle it around to open up the space, but there you go. Put that on like so. And for this one, I think I use one and I think that's C, A. I think so. We shall see. So I'm just gonna set the eyelet. Oh, that was not the one I wanted. Let's try 4. That is better. It is not the prettiest eyelet setting I have ever done. I'm gonna pause now and just take out my mallet and hammer that down, but that's gonna be really loud. We've got our metal flower, and you can color metal pieces with alcohol inks. So I've grabbed RV95, and I'm just gonna quickly apply some alcohol ink to the rose petals. Be careful because alcohol ink will move itself around, so you don't want to be going over the same spot too many times because you're just going to end up lifting up what you put down. And then I've grabbed YR95. A sec, and I will hold it up closer to the camera so that you can see what she looks like. So that's what she looks like up close. So yeah, I like buying like plain silver charms because then I can turn them whatever color I need them. So we're just gonna add our bulb pin through our eyelet and have our charm dangling on there. Let's see if we can get this to turn around. Probably should have put the hole a little higher. And there we go. We've got a rose charm hanging on here, which I am gonna need to flip around because it's wrong way over. And yeah, I should have placed the eyelet a little bit higher so that there was less space up here to deal with because my bulb pins are not very big. But that's okay. I'm all right with it hanging off the edge like that. What I may do is I may end up coming in and adding a butterfly. You know what? I have washi stickers. I have washi stickers by 49 in Market that have butterflies. Let's see if we can find one that will work. I think she's gonna work, but way too bright. So I'm just antique linening. And we'll put her on and see, we may need to go over her with some tea dye. And I have a dog wanting to come in. Yes, it's gonna need some tea dye over top because that is way too bright. So darken her up until she fades into the background a little bit more. So there we go, that one's done, and I got a little dog in. All right, let me scoot up a bit since I'm shifting downward. And I'm gonna add some more of the dyed seam binding. So that tag, journaling card, whatever you want to call it, is done. And I got one more to go, and you know it. I'm gonna come in with my antique linen and knock back all that white. I also think I am going to come in with some mustard seed and add a little yellow to it. There we go, just adding a hint of yellow to it. And this comes from Junk Journal Studio. Style labels. Oh, you know what? I have stuff pulled out for one more after this. Okay, let's get this one done. It shouldn't take too long. And I think for this one, I'm just gonna add the coffee dyed paper to the back off camera so that we can get the other one done and we can be moving right along. All right, so I want to do that there. This going like so. And then have this guy sticking out there. I think that was pretty much what I had. So let's ink the edges on this one. Put a dot, something of glue on the corner there. And just slide it in so that it goes like that. Then we can take this whole thing up and glue it all down. Scooch over. There we go. Just trying to get the bumblebee's wing on. And then I've got my alcohol ink dyed tape. So I'm gonna do a little piece of tape across the bottom of the stem. Now there are tons of videos out there on how to do this. If you'd like me to do a video on it, let me know and I will. Just cut a little piece off and I'm gonna stick it on, going across the stem like that. There we go. All right, I'm gonna leave that one aside and cover the back later and pull over the last one, which is this one. All right, we are gonna start by rounding the corners up here. And I am just gonna pull all these pieces because they're all gonna get the antique linen treatment. I'm also thinking the front section, I want to add some Uncharted Mariner. And then I'm going to do scorched timber around all of the edges. All right, for the front, I am going to use this piece of paper that I'm going to just decide. Let's see, hold on. Train's going there, so let's rub there. He's going like so. Let's rip about there, and I think I may rip more like that, so that will go like that, and then the gears will go like that. And I'm going to ink the edges of this. And I'm just inking kind of the bottom and the side, because that's the part I want to stand out a little bit, whereas up top, I don't necessarily need it standing out, since I'm mostly going to cover it with my pieces. And if I didn't say, all these except for this guy are digitals by Fabi Art Studio. All right, we're gonna flip around. I'm probably gonna round the corners on this, but I'm gonna add coffee dyed paper to this side. So I'm not gonna do it just yet. Problem is, I think it works better this way composition-wise, but I really like that colored gear. But we're gonna go with the way that works. All right, we're gonna ink the edges of this one. And what I'm probably gonna do is glue down here and down here to have this be a tuck spot on a page and have this flip up. So I'll probably end up adding like a tab or something on the bottom. And obviously I will add coffee dyed paper to here so that when you flip up, you have space to write, because that's not all that pretty. Okay, so I think we're done assembling everybody I have pieces picked out for. Okay, so that's all for today. Let's see what we got accomplished. So for our mystery craft Idea-ology, we've got this base ready to be decorated where we just added the tape. We've got these two bases where I added the collage paper, and they're ready to be decorated. We got this dapper gentleman. This tag is all finished, backed with some coffee dyed paper, except I'm gonna add something to there, but I don't know what yet. We got this little guy done with the bee on it, and I have to add paper to the back of that one. This one's all finished with coffee dyed paper on the back for writing and some seam binding to decorate the top bit. We got this lovely lady with our charm on there, and it's got coffee dyed paper on the back, so there's plenty of space for writing on that one. And then we've got our over the page piece that will be a tuck spot on the one side and a flip up on the other. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting!